And I'd now like to introduce the next speaker. The next speaker is Dr. Suresh Shanmuganathan from Sri Lanka. Well, he is a very famous consultant maxillofacial surgeon, a fellow of the Royal College of Surgeons of England and Edinburgh, also a member of surgical dentistry of the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh. He has been appointed as an international ambassador for the Royal College of Surgeons of Edinburgh and a past president of Sri Lankan Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons, Sri Lankan Dental Association, College of Dentistry and Stomatology of Sri Lanka, Sri Lankan Academy of Aesthetic and Cosmetic Dentistry, a very big name who is also associated with the Ministry of Health in Sri Lanka. A very warm welcome to you, Dr. Suresh. Please.
Thank you very much. It's a great privilege to be associated with this online summit on new normal in dentistry. I hope you'll be able to share my slides from the center. Right. So basically, my first topic is talk about digitization. So if you look at digitization, digital dentistry basically is the use of dental technology and devices which incorporate digital or computer control components to carry out dental procedures rather than using mechanical or electrical tools. So if you look at using digital dentistry in carrying out dental procedures, which becomes more efficient than using mechanical tools, both therapeutic as well as for diagnostic purposes. So digital dental flow basically makes dentists gain time, and also it minimizes the number of steps compared to traditional one. So in this era of pandemic era, so we will be able to reduce the amount of time we spend on patients physically, so that we will be able to maximize the time what we have with us, and also which will also deter the cross infections between patients and the clinicians as well. And of course, the digital dentistry, it has its cost as well as it has an initial learning curve as well. So once you master the digital dentistry, you should be able to achieve better results and better outcome as well. And daily advances and improved softwares allow technology to be affordable, and also we are able to adapt faster with the new improvement in technologies. So if you can properly use it and rightly implement it, there could be a good return on investment. And the other important thing what we do digitally now is the digital patient education systems, where it's going to be growing very rapidly. In today's era, you can say they have everything available at their fingertips. And the practitioners, if you can actively manage the change to communicate with these 2.0 generation patients, because now if you look at it, most of these informations are easily shared on a digital platform through the social medias. So if you can have those educational materials available, we should be able to share preventive and therapeutic preventive messages and also therapeutic options easily through these digital medias. The other important thing, hope you are able to share my. Right. The other important thing is about dental practice management, which is also part of digitalization. Now, a lot of practices are going into practice management systems, and also a lot of applications are coming into the market currently on digital on dental practice management, where we should be able to incorporate patient data as well as payment gateways into the system, so that again you tend to reduce the amount of contact you come with the patient, so that you should be able to transmit the information from one practice to another practice, and also to be able to send reminders to the patients through the electronic platforms what is available currently in the market. So therefore, digitalization not only revolutionizes the workflow, but it's an ongoing revolution that will undoubtedly shape the future of dentistry as well. Next, we come on to the digital teledentistry or video dentistry. Next slide, please. So basically, teledentistry is usually is a broad variety of technologies and tactics which is used to deliver virtual dental health and educational services. And it's not a specific service, but it's a collection of means to enhance care and education delivery. And in this COVID outbreak, we are able to utilize teledentistry to minimize the need for a patient to visit a dental surgeon physically, and to minimizes the risk of dental surgeons and health staff becoming exposed to COVID-19, and also it enhances the non-COVID patients to be managed appropriately. Next slide, please. And what are the modes which are available for communications in teledentistry? So basically, you can use audio or audio and video. Video consultations can provide better additional visual diagnostic clues and therapeutic presence, and it could be suitable for patients who are more ill or more anxious. So record keeping becomes a more important aspect in teledentistry, especially in critical situations, as consultation without active follow-up is of less value. The important note that when you're doing teledentistry, you should be able to know whether the patient is alone, the patient is supported, or if this patient is being supervised by a healthcare worker, because the quality of data what you will receive from such engagement will be different from a patient, whether only you're discussing with the patient alone. And important to note that when you're doing video conferencing, that video dentistry, that is important that you have to maximize the quality of consultation. So therefore, you should have a good lighting, a good background with natural decorations. Position of the cameras becomes important, and it's important to have soundproofing because that is becomes important for privacy as well as, or you can use headphones. And also important that you need to make sure that patient fixes the fixed position for the patient, which will prevent unnecessary movements as well. And this video dentistry or teledentistry also will give us an indication to assess whether this particular patient will need an urgent assessment or urgent mandate treatment, or whether it can come from a planned clinics or can do a home visits, or whether the patient will need a multi-specialty care. And it's important to note that a lot of things have been talked about teledentistry, but the ethical implications on teledentistry due to lack of face-to-face communications or due to confidentiality. So therefore, we had to look at the consent of these such scenarios, this software, the security, what is involved, the documentation purposes, the boundaries within which we can do such tele or video dentistry, and the important thing is continuity of care, because sometimes you might give an advice to a patient over the phone, and then you may not follow up the patient. So what is the implications which will fall on us if we don't follow, we have continuity, and whether it has the same value or the equivalence. It's important that prospective councils should come up with on the next slide, please. So basically, next slide, please. So basically, users of teledentistries are basically can use it for dissemination of information on oral health and maintenance of proper oral health. We can advise patients inquiry and treatment options what is available, and we can manage dental emergencies, and also can basically able to give basic instructions to avoid COVID-19 spread during the dental visits. Next slide, please. And importantly, as all I've been talking about, the teledentistry playing a major role in basically in patient triage, whether to assess the risk assessment, because we don't want a COVID positive patient coming into our clinic or suspected patient coming into our clinic. So we are trying to prevent that. So it plays a vital role in trying to prevent to filter patients with positive or suspected COVID positive patients coming into our clinic. And also it enables us to advise patients, right? If they are going to attend the surgery, what type of precautions we are taken, and what type of things you have to observe about hand hygiene, wearing of masks, about social distancing. And also it helps us to schedule patients, because then we should be able to, based on the triage, we should be able to schedule appointments, and also we should be able to patients who are vulnerable, especially we should be able to make sure that they don't come with potentially suspected patients, don't come into contact with potential suspected patients. So it helps us in managing, especially in this COVID era. So thus teledentistry has its role, especially in triaging patients. And but if you want to use it for consultancy or basically for further options of managing patients, then we need to have certain protocols which are developed by respective councils so that we don't get into ethical implications by such act. Next slide, please. Then, what are the government initiatives which are done in Sri Lanka to revive dentistry? Next one, please. So we have been involved from March. The dental associations in Sri Lanka, we have been issuing guidelines within consultation with the Ministry of Health. And we have been keeping up to date with those guidelines. Time to time, we are modifying our guidelines and issuing necessary informations to the dental fraternity in Sri Lanka, and so that we are able to contain the spread of COVID to a great extent. And also, the health authorities have the inspection team who visits the practices to see whether those practices complies with those guidelines. And also, initially, when the COVID started, we had major issues of PPEs, shortage of PPEs, so that a lot of importers were given liberty and tax concessions. And also, because in Sri Lanka, we had to register all the products with the National Medicinal Regulatory Authority. So we were able to fast track all those processes, and trading of goods was expedited. So there was a mechanism which was involved in trying to get the necessary PPEs, instruments, and equipments to fight COVID at that time. And also there is a moratorium in payment of loan installments. Currently, government has declared 6 months delay in the loan payments, and also we have reduced the interest rates on loans by 5%. So those are the initial initiatives which have been taken by the government. And also, currently, a lot of incentives have been given for production of equipments and materials locally. If you look at, we have a major garment apparel industries in Sri Lanka, so all the garment exports have been curtailed because of this pandemic. So they are now taken into the production of PPEs, not only for local market as well as for the export market as well. So those type of incentives have been given to the local manufacturing agents to go ahead and do such productions. Next slide, please. So thus, next slide. So what would we like to say that digitalization is an ongoing revolution in dentistry? I think that is anyway was evolving even before the COVID era. And I think that this digitalization would enhance it further with this current scenario. Will push people to invest more and more into digitalization in time to come. Teledentistry and re-dentistry has its role to play within certain limits, bearing in mind the legal implications. And government will have to play a major role not only to revive the dentistry, but because overall economy of the country has to be revived for the dentistry also to revive. Because if people don't have money, as Gurjit said, if people don't have money to spend, then of course they are going to curtail on unnecessary expenses. So basically, they are going to come only for emergency treatment to us. It's important that its overall economy has to be strengthened and has to proceed further for dentistry to evolve or to revive in this COVID era. Thank you very much for the opportunity given. Thank you, Puneet.
Do you recommend some digital platform, or do you think that it's still evolving for teledentistry?
Teledentistry at the moment in Sri Lanka, we have platforms available for teledentistry as well as for video dentistry. The only problem at the moment we don't have is the guidelines for it, because legal implications which we have not really gone into it. Now, currently, Sri Lanka Medical Council is working on those guidelines, so probably we'll coming up with those guidelines very soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Suresh. Thanks a lot. We'll continue as we move further.